Okay, fine. So good evening. As we were discussing, or as we were supposed to start in today's class, the extended form of principle of designs. So over here, we are going to discuss few of the extensions regarding previously we have discussed the principles of design, what all in are there or so. Now, along with that, few of the other design principles are also there in an extended format, which we need to understand and which definitely do play a role in the working of design principles, or in a composition, how they appear to you, or what is the final outcome that you see. So we will go through them one by one. Just we will see the names first, what we are going to discuss. Their proximity, alignment, contrast, hierarchy, figure and ground, and proportion. These are the things we are going to discuss today. So proximity, what is proximity? First we need to understand that. The principle of proximity is simple, the process of ensuring related design elements are placed together. So in proximity, what happens? We will see the examples over here as well, that the related elements should be placed together. Okay, so now what I mean by that, let us see this square example. This will give a better idea. See this particular thing, see the same objects are there in the same composition, but they are not in close proximity. Hence, you are not able to identify or understand what they are actually trying to mean. So an object with all its elements, or a particular composition with all its elements together in close proximity, or similar elements in close proximity, makes something meaningful. That is what you see over here in all the three examples. Okay. Now we will go back to the text again. Okay, any unrelated item should be placed apart, spaced apart. This is the principle of proximity. Close proximity indicated that items are connected or have relationship to each other and become one visual unit, which helps to organize or give structure to a layout. Okay, now proximity of principle of design, a higher plan. And these are some of the examples that I have just showed to you, that how things without a proximity, how they can look, and with proximity, how things can be totally different from actually what, totally different from actually what they were without the close proximity. Okay. Now over here, few of the other examples over here in practical life examples, those were stipulated examples of how a geometric shape or show would look. But this is actually in practical life. Okay, if something is not exactly a square or a circle, then where are we seeing that sense of proximity and how it is being utilized? These are some of the best examples, the logo of Unilever. And over here, okay, can you tell me what happens in this particular cover page type thing, how the proximity has been tried to explain over here?
This logo, the related units are there in that.
Leave the logo. Logo I have already explained. Let's go to the right hand side where you can see my cursor now. A clockwork orange. In this cover page of a magazine or something like that, how proximity has been tried to be described?
The words are together, close by.
What do you mean by the words are together? There are several words. The name of the person who has written the magazine, the name of the magazine. Here are a few few other details.
The magazine.
So only the name of the magazine, or how is it? What we see? There are several words which are written.
There are several sentences in this, but then the magazine, it's in bold letters, so it is highlighted.
No, you have not got the meaning of what proximity means. So over here, what I tried to tell is that similar elements should be placed together. Anything that is not similar should be spaced apart. Now, when I tell that, see, every word has a different font size, right? Might be some of the fonts are written in a different font. We never know what is written over here because they are too small to be identified. So similar fonts are placed in close proximity. Anything that is different is placed apart. Same thing goes the other way around. Similar fonts over here are placed in close proximity. Say rest of the things are placed apart. Hence giving a very fine looking composition as a whole. Okay. So this is what I was trying to mean, that it cannot be only that one particular set of elements will be there forming one particular structure in close proximity. There can be several examples of proximity over here in one single composition. And that's the whole meaning. It's just I'm just to identify, I am telling. Proximity means similar kind of elements will be placed together in a composition. Now, like this, there can be several small, community of elements be created in that composition, depending upon the need of the composition. Clear?
Okay.
Okay, fine. Let's proceed further now.
Sir,
Yeah, please tell me.
sir, that Karthik has a message on the group. He is in waiting room.
Okay, fine. Just thanks for reminding. I will let it join. Just a second. Sorry for the interruption of the class. Karthik, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. So class has already started. We are proceeding with elements of design. Just for your information, we have discussed one of the elements of we have started with principles of design in extended format. So few of the other principles of designs are also involved. Need to know that. We have just discussed one, which is proximity, and we will be proceeding further. Okay. Fine. Let's continue now. So as I was discussing, simple examples, just I will repeat the sentences once again. Proximity means that the similar elements will be together, non-similar elements will be placed apart. This is the very simple, meaning of proximity. So here are the examples that clearly signifies that. Now over here, see the examples which clearly establishes that relation again. All those resorts also, they are placed in close proximity, forming a kind of particular shape which you get in and around over here, and which makes it meaningful as well. Okay. Now over here again, things which are looking similar are placed in close proximity, hence giving you the feel of an hub or a corporate hub or a sector, which whatever has been tried to create over here. Okay. Now over here again, a few examples from real life, which shows a clear sign of close proximity, wherein you are able to see things like your this houseboats, not houseboats, actually earths or so, which are located all together in a particular designated locations, but all together in the whole compositions, they are in close proximity. Okay, now we will just scroll on through these examples. If you have a doubt related to which example, in a composition, how things are in close proximity, you can ask me. So over here, the squares or the hollow spaces, how they have created this particular shape also, they are in close proximity. Followed by that, over here, what we have as in these cubes or these particular furnitures also, how they are placed in certain zones, in their certain groups, they clearly represent the sign of proximity. Over here again, the different kinds of dining areas. See, all the dining areas are different from each other. So how things which are different are placed apart, and things which are similar in and around, they are placed together. Okay, now the next one which we have is alignment. So alignment is again one of the most important principles, and alignment allows us to create order and organization. Aligning elements allows them to create visual correction with each other. Okay, so what happens in alignment? Now we will see that. So for example, this one in the left hand side, this is in proper alignment. Right hand side is mixed alignment. Now don't mix up alignment with proximity. So alignment does not state that similar elements have to be close together, or some elements which are not similar have to be apart or something like that. Alignment means whichever element you are having, they should be in a proper maintaining a proper geometric line or a shape which is being followed. So things should be aligned. The best example is, let's assume this sitting chairs also. They're all aligned to each other. Let's assume there was one chair here, one chair here, one chair over here, and it was scattered and random. Then the things were not aligned. This is what I am just trying to mean. Okay. Now see over here, this cube will be a best example for understanding. Things are placed in close proximity, right?
Yes.
None of the elements are scattered or so. But what is happening over here is they are not aligned in the particular lines or directions they should be. Hence, it is missing alignment, and it is missing the particular direction or so that it should have in it. Okay. Wait. Now over here, this is again something related with the cover page also, which will give you an understanding of how it is different from the previous one. So see over here, what I mean by alignment is almost other than this particular text also, rest all the font size and all are almost similar. We can see a very close sign of proximity also, things are grouped together, but depending upon the needs or depending upon their orientation or also how they are supposed to be arranged and how they are supposed to state the message they are supposed to provide over here, the alignment has been, as you can see, made in different orientations also. Okay. Okay. Now over here again a set of staircase which clearly signifies and tells that alignment is necessarily always doesn't have to be a straight line. Alignment can be in curved lines as well, but it should be followed. That for every element in that composition that should be followed. Okay. Okay, over here, see, like, you know, how what alignment means in terms of practical life example. This is the best, what alignment means in practical life is the best example. Nothing is there in one single line, but wherever you consider, for example, these chairs, they are in a particular one directional flow or one directional manner that they are followed. It's not like that any table or any chair is placed anywhere. That's what alignment means. Now, the other thing also that we need to understand is that let's assume if the alignment was not there. Okay, not only in terms of this, there are several places where you will see that the work of alignment is there. For example, I hope if you have a car, you have heard about that wheel alignment, or bike also, I guess two-wheelers also, if there is a problem with wheel alignment, you might face an accident or like, you know, your vehicle must not do well. Have you heard about wheel alignment?
Yes.
Yeah. So what do? They arrange the wheel in a particular, like, you know, one flow, or see, when you are turning the handle, right? If for like, you know, cars, or like for cars which we usually have, and definitely for two-wheelers, you are turning the front wheel. The rear wheel is never turning. So they, like, you know, they are not in one particular unidirectional always. But the thing is, when you are turning, at the same time, this wheel should be aligned to follow that same path. That is what alignment means. Okay. Now, next thing is contrast. Quickly explain about contrast. Anyone can start.
Should I start?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Contrast is the difference between the elements in terms of size, shape, form, etc. Light and shadow can also bring contrast.
So just go in a bit detail and just give some examples and, like, you know, just point out things which will like be better for a student or anyone to understand that, okay, what do you mean by contrast, rather than just talking about in text.
Okay, so the logo of that the cartoon channel UNN, it's black and white in color, so it brings contrast.
Okay.
And uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
cover of the pencil. Should I show this pencil cover?
See, let's talk to, like, you know, things which are rational rather than being going for things which are, like, you know, with you or so. Because right now, I guess this screen is visible. Okay, I'll stop sharing this. Right, I will stop sharing the screen and let me go back on the Zoom call. Fine. I hope I am visible right now, right? Let me go for Canvas. Fine. So yeah, let's talk about few rational things, okay, which will give the student a particular idea about, okay, what, like, you know, you are trying to talk about in terms of contrast or so. So let's take it something like I wish you have watched Three Idiots, right? Yes, no. I wish you have watched my classes. Definitely, you have taken them before. So, how I give examples from practical life, right? How a machine can be the zip of a pant. So, the same way you give some examples which are rational and it will be. So, I am trying to get some that kind of explanation, not just something from text. So, talk about things which are there in practical life. It's uniform for everyone. Like the alignment of wheel is uniform for almost 99% of the people will know it. So talk about something like that.
The wall behind you is black and white, so it shows contrast. The logo of a class also shows contrast. Logo is in red color and the background is in white color.
Talk about the very first thing, how I am able to see your face, how you are able to see me.
Yes, it is
Everything is
because of
because
light
of
and shadow.
yeah, because
Because
contrasting with the other, the
yeah,
hence you can see me. If I, so like this very thing is why we tell that like someone is doing this camouflage or snipers usually they use the technique of camouflage to mix with the nature, or during like this guerrilla warfare and all soldiers they used to they try to do that camouflage and mix in the forest or so using leaves or putting on like different kinds of color or so on their body or different materials. It's all because to reduce the amount of contrast. The more contrast you reduce, the more you mix with in and around your surroundings, and less it like it's become less possible that you will be identified as a person, right? So same way when let's assume like there is a fight going on or something like that in your class in terms of something, so you will try to put like less contrast on yourself so you don't fall in between something. If there is a road rage going on, put some less contrast on yourself and just make sure like depending upon the heat of the situation or what is happening, you will like put more or less contrast on yourself. So that's how these things are, right? So when there is a like rally or this this thing elections and all are going on, and in several zones or so wherein there is like MLA ticket also yet to be given. People try to put banner posters and all, and along with the main prime person of their party they went to put themselves in contrast, so hence people will identify them. So anyways, these are the best examples. Now let's go back to our PDF, or like let's go back to our material and just quickly have a talk about that. So fine. So contrast is like contrast is the superposition of opposing elements, opposite colors on the color wheel, or value of light, dark, or direction, horizontal, vertical. Contrast allows us to emphasize or highlight key elements in your design. Not only that, contrast allows us to identify anything that is possible in this world. Without contrast, we won't be able to see anything. Without contrast, you won't be able to identify if your mom and dad is in front of you or they are not there, right? So simply contrast tells the viewer where to look first. Now that is, I will tell, more goes to emphasis, that okay, increasing the contrast and putting some extra effect on it tells us that where to look first, and that is what is the work of emphasis. Now emphasis can be in a bigger way or in a more lesser way. So how to identify emphasis? Now we need to understand one thing over here. Emphasis as a design principle in a composition will be highlighted only when that is more dominating in comparison with the other design principles. Definitely over here, me sitting and you are looking at me, I am also creating emphasis because you are not looking at, okay, what is there in this wall first. You are looking at me, right? And if there is something like, which is eye-catching in the wall, then we are talking about it as the emphasis is dominating over here, because almost like maximum people are looking at that itself first. So emphasis is always there. You look when whichever composition you look at something first, then something second, then something third, right? When you go in detail. But we need to understand that is emphasis as a principle is really dominating, which like like dominates the other principles also in and over there. Now over here, contrast in value, we need to check this out. So how like okay, quickly tell me what is value.
value is the when impurities are added in any color, then it creates value.
Let's not take it in this way. Let's talk about it as value is in like the increasing the tint or shade of a particular composition or a particular object. uh, because if we tell that, then it might be like, okay, then one value will be like if we are having like full value of the composition, it is always supposed to be extremely like bright color or so. But I will tell that increasing the value more, it will result in whitening of the composition, and taking the value less will make the composition black. So it's just the increasing the tint or shade of that particular object or composition. Now there is something as in contrast. Yeah, anything you're telling? Okay, I guess I overheard it. It was okay. Fine. Let's talk about the size, contrast in terms of size. Okay. So over here, this is a poster of mega factories, and like how they have just tried to show the letter, and this particular car standing in front of it looks so small, and hence the contrast in terms of size has been created. Now over here we have something as in contrast in terms of value. See how the value of one singular color can lead to different different sorts of contrast. Sorry, like I must tell that how the change in value of one particular color itself can lead to the increase in contrast. Okay. Now over here, contrast in weight. See this particular lettering which has been shown on the right hand side, falling off on the smaller ones. It shows a great amount of weightage. It makes you feels like that okay, there is really a lot of weightage on tonnage. Okay, so these are some of the things. Now we have to see that okay, contrast in terms of placement. Now contrast in terms of placement on the left hand side is something like okay, in terms of an element that okay, it's a tomato placed together, that is not creating contrast, but this is also in terms of contrast in terms of color. Now why they are telling it contrast in terms of placement? Just because that this color contrast has been created via the change in placement of that particular composition. So now over here what we see is that several squares or so on the right hand side, how just a simple we wouldn't have to move the square this much also, just slightly tilting it in any of the other directions rather than putting it absolutely perfect in that hole, it would have created a huge sense of contrast. Now advantage of using contrast, there is no particular advantage, these are just textual things. Advantage is whatever opportunity you get, if you use it, there will be some advantage, and usage of that particular opportunity to an extreme level will lead to disadvantage, right? So this is a very normal fact. So advantage of using contrast: without contrast, designed piece may appear static, uninteresting, and hard for the reader to access because of its non-immediately clear what to look first. Okay. Now, okay, these are some of the things which you usually see when you select the thickness of a line on Word or any of the writing softwares. Okay. Next thing what we have over here is hierarchy. So we need to know what is hierarchy and how it is being used. So let's proceed. Now, the principle behind how to develop a hierarchy is pretty straightforward. So what do you mean by hierarchy? Before, if I don't show you the text and tell that, okay, as a word, what do you think hierarchy is? And what it can be?
Hierarchy, elements of design used together.
What is hierarchy? Just tell that, okay, like this. What does the word mean? What does the word hierarchy means?
Hierarchy is like order or something.
So order, arrangement of elements in an orderly fashion or orderly manner is all we are talking about in terms of hierarchy. Hierarchy is nothing else. Okay. So now let's see. First, a designer must decide what is the most important element with the design and make the most make this the most prominent. Okay. Just hold. Just hold a second. Introduction. So let's proceed further. of what we were discussing. So, hierarchy is there in everything. Like you are going to study architecture in any college, so hierarchy will be there as well in terms of when you prepare a sheet or so. So, whenever you are working on something, you are working on a project, you are working on your submission, or you're working on the planning of, or you're designing a structure or so. There is a hierarchy of, okay, first, you need to do the ideation. Very first step is you need to speak with the client. Followed by that, you need to do a site visit. Followed by that, you need to do you will be doing an ideation of where, what can be, what is the concept. That is just in terms of some rough sketches, bubble diagrams, and all these things, ideation things, and all. Then you will come up with a discussion. Then after the discussion, you will take the inputs. Once you take the inputs, you will do some improvising, and then you will come up with a final bubble diagram of, okay, this is where what I am going to place. Then followed by that, you will come up with the base plan. Followed by that, once that is approved with the changes, also you will come up with a master plan. Once the master plan and everything is ready, now you will come up with the section or the elevations. Once that thing is there, then it is approved. You again take inputs, you cross verify it, you work on that, you come up with the final thing. Once that is done, then you go on to your final implementation of this thing in a 3D model, or what we tell it in forms of a rendered format, in practical life how it is going to look. Then it is the outcome, and then at the end of the day, when finally we see it, we talk about it, we do this and all those things. And after that, what happens is the practical implementation. Now the sitting in discussion with the structural engineer, and what you come up in the final stage in terms of a rendered plan, that is also not the final thing that you are going to make on the board, because several changes go while the work is going on, and several alterations have to be made. And finally, at the end of the day, how the actual thing is going to look in practical life will be something else. So this is how or what hierarchy is. Now this is called creating a focal point where the reader's eye go first, or in terms of hierarchy, a primary message. From there, a designer must decide what is the second most important element, which will become the secondary message. Then the third most important message, which will become the tertiary element, and so on until the elements of design have considered level within the hierarchy. Okay. The main message to understand is that careful consideration is needed to ensure all the elements of design are purposely placed within a structure. It's not just about making things look pretty. Okay. So how to determine hierarchy? I like to start with determining what is the primary message or focal point. Consider the topic of the design and think about what element is the most important, which element is most likely to grab the attention of the reader and tell a story about the topic. This may be a line of text, graphic, or picture. Next thing, what about the secondary or the tertiary message? Which elements are the second, third most important? Now consider these two with the primary message. Do these elements give a good overall picture of the topic? If a reader were only to see that these elements would there know what the about the design is good. Now think that, so see, these are how to determine hierarchy and what is the process. What I have just explained, about architectural planning and building a structure, same thing, same kind of thing has been told over here. Okay. Now in practical life, in a composition, how hierarchy is visible, these are some of the examples. Okay, try fixing a shots today, and how the different items over there are placed in a particular hierarchy or an orderly format. Okay, a good hierarchy is clearly evident in the recipe spread. So if once you go to a I guess I am audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. See, the best example of hierarchy would be that, let's assume you have visited marriage function or anywhere where you have been invited to dine in or something like that. And if there is not a proper hierarchy of, okay, these are the starters, followed by this you go to the main course. Then after that you go for the okay, main course also this is what you take first, then this, then followed by that you go for the dessert. Then after that, for the you take something as in different kinds of drinks or something as they are available. If this hierarchy is not maintained and someone goes and he is searching for, and whatever comes to his eye first, a hungry person or who is there and waiting for a long period of time to have food, he finds that okay, there are soft drinks over there, and along with that they are having some sort of snacks. So he will go and take that first. After that he realizes, oh my god, there is main course. There is like mutton biryani with this thing food and all. So he goes to that, jumps off that, and then he realizes okay, there is started by that time his stomach is full, so he will not be able to eat that. So if there is no hierarchy maintained, you will not be able to do that in a proper manner. Same way how you have learned ABCD first. First you have learned to speak, then ABCD, followed by that sentences, phrases, words, then going into grammar, going into text, literature. By the time you are in your 9th or 10th standard, you are studying basic literature books, 12th, 11th, and after that today you are going to an architecture college. Hierarchy. These are best examples, okay? Try to relate things with practical life examples. Things will be better, things will be clear for you to understand, okay? Now let's go back and check out what all are there. Okay. So see, these are some of the examples again. I'm not going in much detail about hierarchies followed or so. I hope it's clear. This is one of the best examples on the left hand side, how hierarchy is being followed in terms of like, an orderly format or fashion. Any South Indian temple you go for, they are having like, they are the pretty good examples of maintaining a hierarchy. Okay. Burj Khalifa is also one of the best examples of hierarchy. Tell me names of two South Indian temples quickly. Famous two South Indian temple. Anything it can be. Nothing specific I'm asking. Just to test your knowledge, you have the information or not. So South Indian temples are known as Dravidian style temples. North Indian are known as Nagara style temples. We will go in temple architecture as well. Okay. So tell me names of two South Indian temples. Quickly. Any temple. Just tell me names.
The Temple of Sun.
It's located in Odisha. It is not in now South India. It comes under the Nagara style itself. And the most importantly, the orientation of the temple and how it looks, it's not in South India. Yeah, quickly. Karthik. Tirupati, absolutely. One more.
Rameshwaram.
Huh?
Rameshwaram Mandir.
Rameshwaram Mandir you can consider definitely. There are also several others like there is Meenakshi Temple in Madurai, having a golden pillar. It's very famous. Or the Hall of Thousand Pillars. Okay, so there are several temples which are there. Now we need to understand what are the differences, what are the orientations, planning of these temples also. We have this chapter as well. Okay, this is known as temple architecture. So, okay, over here, some of the examples of hierarchy. See, in South Indian temple or these temples, what we have is first the gateway, followed by something known as mandapa. Mandapa is like, the section of the area where it's kind of a hall with pillars. Okay, you enter that, it's kind of a hall wherein you are having a small shrine, followed by that you may enter into the Garbhagriha, that is the main temple. Okay. So it is a hierarchy of like from where you should enter and where you should go and like end it. Tell me in this composition how hierarchy is being followed. Quickly. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
So how hierarchy is being followed?
The table down there, the wooden table and the bed create hierarchy.
The orientation of the pillows creates hierarchy. See the orientation they have been placed. How come the table and bed are creating hierarchy? What I told, the basic concept of hierarchy is either small to large, large to small. Just remember this thing in first basic format. After that, several other things are there which we need to know. Okay. Now over here we have a few other examples of hierarchy and how they are being achieved or followed. And we will scroll in through this. See, this is one of the best examples of hierarchy again. And this one, like where this Air Force fighter planes and all, they are dropping. They are throwing smoke in the air and creating a proper format. Actually, they are having a proper orientation or shape. This is a very good example of hierarchy. Now, next thing is figure and ground. So what is figure and ground we need to know, or we need to understand what is figure and ground. Just give me a second. So what is figure and ground? We need to know and understand. Now, we will quickly go to our text. Okay. So figure and ground perfection refers to the tendency of a visual system to simplify a scene into a main project that we are looking at the figure and everything else that forms the background or ground. Okay. This is all about figure and ground. Now, along with this, we have a few examples over here, similar to like a chess, which gives an idea up to you about how figure and ground has been achieved over here. Okay, we will just scrolling through these. Okay, in this composition, what can you see?
Gorilla and what is that? Cheetah, tiger,
Right.
a tree, and crows.
Yeah, and normally the tree and the crow, what is practically seen. Fine. So see some of the best examples of figure and ground over here. Okay. In a map also how it can be achieved or how the flow can be achieved in that. Now we have one of the most other important thing, that is proportion. Without proportion, nothing can be absolutely present at all. So for example, like without maintaining proportion, let's assume you went to a house or people are building houses without any proportion. So some house might be like a castle to you, wherein you are very tiny in front of the gate, and some house might be like an ant's house to you. If proportion is not maintained, if we human beings don't understand proportion, this is what is going to happen. So proportion in art is the relationship of two or more elements in a composition and how they compare to one another with respect to size, color, quantity, degree, setting, etc. That is ratio. When two or more elements are put together in a painting or any composition, okay, a relationship is created. This relationship is said to be harmonious when a correct or desirable association between the elements. This refers to the correct swing and distribution of an element which creates a good proportion. Okay, good proportion adds harmony and symmetry or balance among the parts of a design or a zone. So the problem, like for example, let's assume you are drawing the living room. Okay, wherein there is a sofa chair, what we have done in our last day's class. And suddenly you made the sofa, which is equivalent, like, which is okay for a human being to sit. And the chair, you have made it too small, not even a child can sit. Okay. So that is the problem with proportion, like, will happen if you don't, sorry, that is the problem will happen with your composition if you don't understand proportion. So you need to understand that for a normal human being to sit in that chair, sofa, how it should look. Depending upon the distances where they are placed from the point of view or from the perspective you are viewing it, how they will look. Okay. So over here, sir, here are some of the examples which shows clear, like, proportions, how proportions are achieved or how proportions are varied, okay, from one another. So over here in this one, what are the other design principles being achieved other than proportion?
Balance.
What balance?
Asymmetrical balance. No, symmetrical balance.
Symmetrical balance. How come symmetrical balance?
The same. The stones are the first stone is small and the stone below is larger, but then on the other side the weight is
Don't try to compare physical weights. The way they have been placed makes the left hand side more bulkier than the right hand side. It's an asymmetrical balance. This was one of the examples which we have been through in asymmetrical balance. Same picture was there. Okay. So it is asymmetrical balance. Okay, let's move on. And we have here some of the other examples which clearly identifies to you proportion and how it has been achieved. Okay. Now, Let's scroll on. And less elements but badly managed proportion. See over here how proportion is badly managed. Okay, so how proportion is badly managed in this terms, what they are trying to mean. For example, how these lamps have been placed anywhere, and how, like, the thing what should be placed where. The photo frame is there behind, the size of the bed, the room size and the height of the room doesn't, like, comprises with the size of the bed. It's the bed so it could have been a kid's room, not an adult room or something like that. Now definitely it's always not mandatory. For example, you have, like, as per as your wealth your bike. So that's what I told in the very first day, that whatever in your college also you're going to learn, things will be at some point of time kind of not relating with the textual knowledge and the practical world knowledge. Because if you go to Bangalore, or I guess any of most of the cities where there is a huge cost of space, people try to, like, this is the kind of mindset, nothing will happen, no one, we all came, like, without any clothes and we will go like that. But the kind of mindset people have is, till the time I am living, I will not leave at least 1 inch of land also, right? And if the other person is doing, why I can't do? So the way is like, okay, if I leave that land, something will happen. Though, like, that land is meaning nothing actually. That place is for, like, a small this thing. What should it a drain, or a, like, the cannot even pass through that space. So what human being is going to do with that? But still, people are trying to like, keep that particular space and thus keep it. So textual knowledge is far apart from what there is in reality. In terms of text, okay, in terms of law, you are supposed to leave around 3 to 4 feet, 4 feet of gap, okay, from the. So for example, you are having your boundary line. So definitely, when there is a plot of land you have bought, the same line which you have, your one side will be shared with the other plot of land. That is the boundary for the other one. That is why you are having boundary, right? Now over here, like, you are from that boundary, you are supposed to leave around 3 feet. The other person is supposed to leave 3 feet. You might have a common boundary wall, but you are supposed to leave that space for, like, your both of your houses to have proper lighting and, like, proper air circulation. Followed by that, some of the utility things will be done in that space. But people are like, no, I will not. I will take that space. I will, like, it's my right. And they are building houses on the same wall. One wall which is the same for this house, that house. Now I don't understand how they justify this thing, that if that something happens to that wall, how are you going to settle the, like, costs, or so that, okay, this has happened to your fault or my fault, or how you are going to use that. So anyways, let's come out from this discussion and let's talk about this is what happens, or this is how things are, and let's come back to our text now. What is there in terms of, like, your this thing what we were discussing, proportion. Okay, so highly contrasting elements but rightfully managed proportion over here. Best example. Name of the structure, built by whom? Quickly.
Disney. The
Disney
Disney.
what?
Yeah.
Disney what?
The Disney.
The Disney, I heard it. The Disney after that.
The Disney Hall.
Disney what hall? Something is missing.
The Disney.
The Disney.
The Disney Auditorium.
No, hall was fine. We don't
Hall.
want. Yeah, hall was fine. So it's the Walt Disney Concert Hall. Okay. Where it's located?
Australia.
Walt Disney Concert Hall is located in Australia. Okay. Fine.
California.
Los Angeles, California. Absolutely. Built by who? Architect's name. Name of the architect, quickly. Architect Sneha Patil. Or architect Karthik. What is the name of the architect? Huh? Don't search for it. It's architect Frank Gehry. Okay. Walt Disney Concert Hall located in Los Angeles, California. Okay. Now, fine. We will just have a good. So, see, good design doesn't happen. It requires careful planning and an intended approach. Determining a hierarchy is one of the most single important factors that needs to be considered before beginning the layout of a design. These all things are there. We have heard about it. We have gone through every design principle. We have understood things. Now, there are some visual principles, as I mentioned, like movement, pattern. These are visual principles which you see visually and get the feel or so. But along with this, we need to understand good design is always subjective. What is good to you might not be good to me. What is good to Karthik might not be good to the other person. So this is how it is. Yeah. Still? Okay. So that is all about the good design and how things are achieved. So we cannot tell something is good or bad. Good or bad are always like, depending upon the perspective of the person who is seeing it or who is judging. Okay. So we have completed our this chapter for your this particular elements of design. Design extended option. So guys, people watching this class as a recording, that's all for today's class. Okay, I will turn on my camera. See you in the next class. Make sure you go through this chapter and understand that, okay, what is the difference or what are these things in respect with the previous design principles that you have learned. You need to know that. And along with that, I must tell that the other thing is, apart from this, there will be things like movement pattern, which are kind of also linked with your visual principles. Go through that. That's all for this class, guys. Thanks a lot. Make sure if you have any doubts, connect us as early as possible, like I tell in always every class. Okay, I will end the recording over here. See you.